Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. What's going on, Antoine?
Hey, what's going on, Drew? KK.
Afternoon.
Good after Stratops. Hop right into things in a few seconds. Okay, cool. So that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Now, just gonna give a few more minutes to give everybody some time to hop on. And
Oh, what's up, y'all?
hey, what's going on, Roman?
How you feeling, brother?
Rublev just took a set off of Alcaraz. So, I just hit on that set and
You
the tie.
doing? You be betting the correct set?
Yeah, I be correcting betting the correct score on each set. Yeah. So had Rublev to win the first set, 7-6. So in the tie break, and he won 7-6 in the tie break.
How you be judging that though?
I mean, I just let the set kind of play out a little bit and just see. I had to see how Alcaraz start and see how Rublev start because people sleep on Rublev a lot, but I think Alcaraz gonna spank him still, but it can edge out.
When you be doing that, do you be like doing like multiple, like a 7-6 and then like a 7-5?
So that's what I'm saying. You gotta let it all play out. So let's say if I let the kind of set play out for real, like, but a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just like depending on who's playing and how to like especially after the first set now. So I'm gonna put Alcaraz for 6-4 in the second set. But anyway, I'm not trying
Yeah,
to do this
yeah.
right now because
So,
hey, KK, you see Roman asked me more questions about parlays than he asked about stocks.
Mm, interesting.
Yeah,
what's up, KK?
but yeah, we're gonna hop right in. Just gonna let 205 roll around and then we're gonna just hop right into things.
So,
That 205, give everybody some time to lock in and and we will get things started. See. Hope everybody had a great weekend. See.
This is the highlight of my
This is
weekend.
the highlight of your weekend. I like the
It's
way that,
always the highlight of my weekend, getting ready for the week.
yeah, I feel you. I get it. Two, two. Now it's about to get back to being the highlight of my week, you know. Let me see. See, sorry, I'm just okay, cool. So it's fine. You got 30 more seconds, then we're gonna go ahead and get started. Okay, cool. So it's 2:05. Just go ahead and hop right into things. By watching or reading this, you're saying you understand the following. I'm not a financial advisor, and this is not trading advice. This session is solely for educational purposes. There is significant financial risk associated with options trading, and I am not liable for your wins or losses in the market if you decide to act on this information. Let's go. So, all right, let's go right into sector performance. So on Friday, you see everything finished green. The worst performing sector was energy, followed by healthcare, basic materials, real estate. And on the flip side, we had tech leading the charge. But if you look for the whole week, we had basic materials, industrials, um, were the top performing sectors overall. One second. I'm just making a note here because I like to make notes in real time. So let me just make a few notes. And we're going to go ahead and hop right in to what's going on. But let me make these notes in market talk. One sec. Few notes. Yeah, we're going to try to get through this meeting quickly. I have a lot to cover this week, and we are going to get through them. Okay, cool. So materials. Just give me a few more sec. Just God. Yeah, I'm making some notes because we gotta, for this meeting, and I just found out a few things, so I gotta make sure I cover it during this meeting. So I'm just making some notes. Okay, so I'm gonna put here and there. Okay, cool. So we got a few of these that I can look at this morning or this afternoon. Let's make a note. That's enough of them right there. Then we're gonna go and check this one too. And I'm gonna throw that's interesting. That we got that. Yeah. All right. Cool. So I just had to make some notes when I looked at this list. So this helps out a lot too. So let's just hop right into things. So we always just go through the slides for all of the oh, did I put that slide in here? Hold on, let me just I think I did. All right, yeah, I did. All right, cool. So I didn't update the yearly profit one because I just now updated the June chart. So June just ended, so I didn't get a chance to update this slide yet, but I updated the June slide. So we'll get to June. I just didn't update this one yet. All right, so it's gonna go through our yearly profits like I always do. I'll start from here. So this is our profits for the year, excluding the last bit of profits that we made for the month of June. The last day of June was on Monday, and we this basically this last week was pretty much the first week of July. So that's why I didn't update this slide yet. But as of the 26th, yeah, the 27th of the month of June, we we cleared, yeah, so it's from the 26th. We, we cleared over $39,875. Average weekly profit 1,600. Average monthly profit 6.6 hundred, so 6.6 thousand, my bad, and the average profit per trade 198%. On the 250 membership, our return on investment is 15.9 thousand% for the $175 membership, 22.7 thousand%. So we got some crazy ROIs for the year. And again, these profits, these totals reflect pure net profits based on purchasing just a single contract per trade alert as recommended. So, okay. So, and I always just go through these every month just so you can see where we are. So this was how we started with January. These are net profits. So as you can see, our losses and our wins are listed here. So no cherry picking of trades. And for the month of January, we cleared 4,600. For the month of February, we cleared 8,400. For the month of March, 6,100. For April, 8,000. For May, 6,400. And for June, 5,959. Now, let me just tell y'all. So there's a one trade I did not include on here. Would have taken us over 6,000. I didn't include it because most of the trade continued into July. So for the last trade on this one was a meta trade, the 624, the 620, I mean, 725 call. For the month of June, that trade cleared out with the 36% profit, but I'm counting that trade as a total loss, and I'm putting that on July because that's where most of the trade took place at in July. So we got it and we swung it in June, the last day of the month on June. We swung that on over the weekend, so over last week, right? And so if I'd included it on here, it would have been included as a profit, and I'm not including that as a profit. Most of the trade took place in June. We do that all the time. Like if we get in a trade in here, and whether it's a win or a loss, if wherever the majority of that trade, if we swung it into the next month, that's where we counting it at. So so that one isn't included on here. So we cleared June under $6,000. So we cleared $5,959 for June. So yeah, that's where we are right now for June. July, how we do it. So as the month progress, we'll go into that. But let's go into market talk really quickly because we're going to talk about these trades. And I'm just going to start with Meta. So last week was probably one of our least profitable weeks. Let me just go in here for a second. Let me just go into the chat for a second because I want to talk about Meta. Start talking about that first and go from there. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to put a notification out on publicly for everybody to come to this meeting. So hopefully they just saw the notifications in the chat, but give me 1 second. I wanted to go in here for a sec. One sec. Yeah, because I wanted to see what the cost of that other meta trade was. Yeah, so all right, so for this first week of July, we had how many trades? One, two, three. Yeah, three, four trades. Four trades. DDOG kind of swings over into this next week that's coming up. So that was at the end of the day. But let me start here. 1 sec. Let me just bring up this. Yeah, make sure I got it. Yeah, so look, so we were in a meta trade. We were in the meta 745 calls. They were 425. So I had the numbers transposed. I'm like, yo, it wasn't 725. So I had to go find it really quickly. I just found it. So it's a 745 call that we were in for meta. And we swung that over the weekend. And I'm gonna have the meta chart while I talk about this up because why not have a meta chart up so y'all can follow along with this? And I know I don't have it on my screen, so just give me a sec. And go there. Switch over to this screen. And we got some good charts to cover too, but the lessons are important. So if y'all here to really learn and make money and to learn from mistakes and stuff like that, then we got to talk about this stuff too. It's just the good stuff for me, in my opinion. The lessons are the best parts. But yeah, so we were in this meta trade. We was in these meta calls that we swung over, this was it? Let me see. Yeah, this was it's so crazy because Friday we were off, so it just makes this week seems like, I don't know, it was a long weekend, but it seems different. It seems different. One second. Yeah, this week right here. This is where we swung. So was it the 27th? Yeah. Yeah, so we swung meta calls into um over on Friday. Yeah, so on Friday the 27th, we swung those meta calls into Monday, right? And meta gapped up nicely Monday morning and then ran all the way up to 747 um 90 and got rejected up there. It got rejected up there. Now, one sec. Yeah, so that's why I was saying that originally that meta trade, it was in profit. It went over 30%, and I stayed in that trade. I didn't get out of that trade right away. I didn't get out of that trade. I was gonna hold that trade as long as, because my thing was, I was okay with Meta coming back down here to retesting this area right here, as we talked about before, and then bouncing up off of there. That's what I was comfortable with. But anyhow, so yeah, we were in that trade now, and this is another thing too. Um, the biggest trade for me last week, or that I was anticipating the most, was the Tesla delivery numbers. So, we were kind of prepping for on Tuesday. We were prepping for the Tesla delivery numbers that whole time. So when I saw that on Tuesday after Monday, we knew on Tuesday that we were gapping down. I'm just trying to make sure that was the date of this. I'm just making sure that the dates add up for a second. Just give me one second, because I thought that trade was alerted on. Okay, good. That's what it was. Okay, yeah, I was confused as hell, man, because I'm like, no, that doesn't make sense. We did not swing that. We didn't swing that. I can call out a swing trade over the weekend for Meta. I didn't call out a swing trade for Meta over the weekend. We took a swing trade. It was we got into that trade on Monday. That's what we did, because Meta came down here and bounced off this area here. That was on the 30th. Okay. I was like, hold up. That's why I'm sitting here like trying to figure it out. I'm like, hold up, this don't make sense. I'm trying to
Yeah,
follow
I
my
was
chart.
confused too
And
because
it
I was
wasn't
like,
making
that was
sense.
that one. Yeah,
Yeah, because I know I said to the team, I said, the
because
reason
the
I didn't call,
snipers took the
the
Friday swing,
sniper took the
and
swing. We all
we
took
was in
that
that
swing on.
one. Yeah,
Exactly, right. And we sold that, right. I'm like, hold up, this don't make sense. I'm like, because I was like, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it's always a setup. So I'm looking at this. I'm like, all right. So then on Monday, this was Monday the 30th, we Meta bounced off of this level right here. Over the break after the where resistance was, it bounced off of that. It came back down, retested. So we swung calls. We swung calls. So yeah, this makes more sense now, because on Tuesday, all I was worried about Tuesday really was the Tesla delivery number. So yeah, so this is where we at. So now it's making sense. So then so Tuesday morning pre-market, I recorded a 4-minute video specifically about Meta, just letting the team know that those 420, because we were getting on Zoom, I mean on stream, and our main focus was going to be to test the plan for Tesla delivery numbers, and I wanted to get the team and Tesla calls on that pullback on Tuesday morning, because we wanted to get in there, start our position early. So that's what we ended up doing. So before then, I got on there, I recorded a video letting everybody know that if Meta lose this level right here, probably was likely going to drop all the way down to 520 to 725, and if it lost that, it was going to take a dive all the way down to like 716 or whatever. So we were talking about the possible, because what we were looking for, that if anything, it came down here and bounced off 730, but if it lost that level, it was going all the way down to 725 and so on. But we had to play both sides. So just giving everybody an update on that. But what ended up happening, the reason I'm saying I'm gonna call this trade a total loss, because only a few people interpreted what I said, like as far as like just covering both sides of the trade. Like if it broke down that level, if the structure broke, that where it was going to go, and where, because you got to cover both sides of the trade. You can't just because you're bullish on something, you got to say, well, if this structure break, this is what's going to happen. And a lot of people in the community, they did take that for what it was. And when Meta lost, broke the structure, they got out. But others didn't do that. And like I said, my thing is this though. Like I said, I'm taking full accountability for this because of the fact that um all right, cool. If we're gonna work on something different and we're gonna move on and do something else, I'm gonna make sure that I'm fully out of, or that I can give a full, direction. Now, I thought that I was doing something even better because there are a lot of people who don't have access to the stream that can't get on there with us. So I say, well, recording a video would be 10 times better than just giving a little update on the chat, like just cut this trade, like how I did on Thursday, and I don't think people really like that. So, but anyway, back to this. But the thing is, so like I said, we got on stream on Tuesday, and our main focus was Tesla. I didn't, I recorded the video for Meta, gave everybody the update on how that, what the plan was for that one, and we jumped right into Tesla calls. They went up like 100% in the morning, and I didn't even get back to alert the other half of the Tesla trade until like 10 minutes before the close. I had a coaching, and I had some other things going on with my trading platform that morning. So it was a lot going on where I wasn't around for most of that day. And so yeah, it was just a lot going on. So we didn't end up getting to that other side of that Tesla trade until like 10 minutes before the close. So what I'm saying is when it's a day where we're going to be focused on one thing, or a day where I know I'm not going to be around like that. Now, this is a double-edged sword because a lot of people don't like that. But I said, if I'm gonna eat this whole trade,
Because I know what you're getting ready to say, and I don't think that that's fair. But I'll let you finish saying it.
all right, let me
I do
finish
want to
saying it.
say
Then I want
something.
to hear your opinion. And you can give me, and because like I said, because I don't want to hear what's not fair without a solution. So give me a solution with it too. So here we go. So, you know, yeah, so I'm just saying that realistically, I got to protect the integrity of the community. And, for the most part, there's more people who aren't, you know, able to read charts than there are in the community. There are more people who skip, the onboarding stuff and don't know where everything is, or they don't even understand market talk. Like I got this channel called Market Talk that I created. So it's a channel that only I can type in, and where only the chart updates and market updates on the trades that we're in, or just updates on those trades go. So that way my updates don't get lost in the chat. And every morning I got an auto message that posts that tells everybody, make sure you check the market talk, make sure you check market talk. So even if they don't have that channel enabled, it'll post it for them conveniently in the channel right before the market opens. So it lets everybody know. So everybody knows that. So I posted the video in there, and so that wasn't enough though. So what I'm saying is, I'm gonna take the whole, because I got like 3 emails about that trade or whatever. So I said, you know what? All right, I'm gonna take that trade as a total loss. A trade that I know for a fact Max sold, because Max said he took profit at 30%, like he's supposed to, well, at 30 something percent. Some other people cut the trade when, based on what the chart said. Now, I didn't expect, honestly, none of my snipers, I didn't really expect them to take profit at 30% on that trade. I didn't. Um, but at the same time, that's why in the trading Bible, I got a lot of guidelines. So I'm like, even if I'm not around, I got guidelines in place so that way the new traders who don't read charts, they'll be safe. And I'm like, well, take profit at 30%. If you can't swim, don't go deeper than 3 feet, because if there's a rip current or a tidal wave that happens, it's every man for themselves. The lifeguard can't save you. He got to save himself. So under those circumstances, you got to be able to um yeah, just keep an eye on what's going on. But yeah, back to this. So I'm like, I'm gonna eat the whole trade. And the reason, if I gotta eat that whole trade, I gotta make some changes to how I do things then. And so I'm saying this to say that so on days where there may be times where, like on Friday, last Friday, I didn't alert that meta trade. And we made a lot of money on that meta trade Monday morning. But my snipers got in it. I posted an update and made it an open book test. So we don't get credit. The team don't get credit for that trade because, I didn't alert the trade, and that's fine, but there are going to be times where, where a trade gets cut. And this is what I don't like. People see us making all of this money every week, every day, or every month, every year. I could say that too. And we end every month and every year with a nice net profit. So if everybody's following this process, it'll be like one. But what I notice is we can have a bad few trades or a one bad trade, and a lot of people crumble because they aren't following the process. They're taking their last bit of money and they gambling with it because they saw, well, we made all of this money off these other plays. So what'll happen is if I say, you know what, let's cut this trade because the structure broke, it's like, no, I'm not cutting that trade because I've grabbed 4 contracts and I'm not willing to take that type of loss. Things like that. And I'm like, well, you should only be taking 1 contract. And if it makes you uncomfortable, because me personally, any trade that I get in, and one of the things in the trading Bible it says is, only don't trade with no more than 20% of your total available cash to trade, because if you die, and we will, you have 4 more lives left. You know what I'm saying? And it's not going to be a back-to-back loss situation. We don't be going there. And if it's going to be a back-to-back situation, I'm gonna come back with fresh eyes. So I'm not in here. I never play like I'm invincible. That's why my position size be the way it is. That's why I got the freedom that I have, because I trade like a business and I cut my losses and I keep it moving. You can't just jump in this and try to say, you know what? I don't have time to wait to hold till I got a whole $1,000 or $2,000 in my account to trade. So I'm gonna jump in and try to jump and rush this process because they're winning. And I don't know what they're doing and I don't know what's going on, but I'm just gonna jump in this because of what that last trade did, and I'm gonna go all in so maybe I can get this much money really quickly. And then they end up taking a big loss and they leave the server with an active subscription. You know what I'm saying? So that's what happens over and over again, or people cancel. But then you got to think, but I always want everybody to stop and look back and see what's going on. Like, okay, they're going to be losses. Of course, they're going to be losses. But like I said, we have net profits. You look every month we end with net profits, like thousands of dollars in net profits, like thousands. So some people may look and say, well, that number don't make sense, or this may not make sense. What, like, if you do an audit, you can give or take maybe a few $100s depending on where you got in or where you got out of a trade. But for the most part, I'm like, we are thousands of dollars. Like, we clear every month. There hasn't been but one month this year where we cleared less than $4,600 for those who just grab 1 contract per trade alert. That's more than people's salaries. Like I said, we up like $40,000 on a year in net profits doing it this way. So follow the process. Don't let a bad day or a bad week make you derail you and be like, see, this is why I didn't do this, or this is why I do that. No, you need to follow the whole process. I'm going to cut a trade. So let me tell you what happened on Thursday. We had a short week this week. I had an appointment that I had to leave for in the morning. So I knew I wasn't going to be around Thursday morning. And we made a nice profit on Tesla the day before. And so, we were in these meta puts that, and we were in these meta puts. I called out this meta put trade because Meta doesn't look really good right now. We're gonna get to that when we talk about the charts. But it's in this meta put trade, and this is where Meta closed on Wednesday, right here, in an inverse hammer with a 2-2 continuation inverse hammer closing under its 90 MA and under a support level. So I'm looking for a continuation to the downside for Meta. Then Thursday morning they get 2 price target upgrades, stock gaps up, and then the jobs data came in way better than expected. A nice surprise beat on non-farm payrolls, and the whole market kind of, ran too. So that was another thing. But again, I was leaving that morning. I knew we weren't going to be able to stream or nothing that morning because I had an appointment that I had to make. So I told the team this in the pre-market. I said, let's just cut that meta trade at down whatever it is. It's probably going to be down like 50%. Let's go ahead and just cut that trade down 50%. And because I wasn't going to be around, and what I didn't want to happen was, me record another video saying, well, if it lose this level right here, then do this. And if it doesn't, then do this. Then everybody they don't see the part where I say, well, if it doesn't do this, they just staying in the trade because they holding and hoping and they just don't want to cut the trade. So that's why I gave an emphatic, like, cut the trade at market open situation. And I posted a few updates like, well, Meta is notorious for, um, pulling back before taking off. So you may have a chance to get a better entry. I mean, a better exit on that trade. Some people took heed to that. I held the puts for a little longer, for a lot longer actually. And but at the same time, I had to do what was best for the team, and I told them to cut that trade. And so it is what it is. So yeah, so I'd rather you get out of a trade that did not work out. And plus, like I said, if a stock get two price target upgrades in the pre-market, it's gapping up, especially Meta. And they were some good price target upgrades from some good analysts too. So they were, kind of aided into that. And then we got that move. But what Meta did was it came up here to 728, rejected off of that, and then flushed back down. So like I told the team before I left, I said it looked like it wanted 635 if it could clear 720 28.37. It came up there and it rejected that level hard and came back down. But yeah, so in situations like that, like I said, it's a double-edged sword. If I'd have just recorded a video like I did on Tuesday with Meta, with the other trade, then I feel like some of my other snipers, they would have made out 10 times better than me just saying, you know what, cut the trade, I'm not going to be around. But you see what I'm saying? But different reactions call for different courses of action. You get what I'm saying? So it's not like well, damn, why didn't he put the work into this one like he did that? I had to leave. And I still could have recorded the video, but instead I typed it out manually in the chat, all of the things that I wanted y'all to do and what could happen. I'm like, so everybody who's not looking at market talk, because like I'll say like probably like 60% of the chat, they just open up the chat and don't scroll up, don't read nothing, don't look at no updates or nothing. They just only see what's in there when they open up the chat, and they only looking for um trade alerts. Like, they're not looking to be traders. They're not really looking to learn or really follow a process. So I have to account for that too. So yeah, this gonna be I'm glad this happened early in July though, because I believe July is going to be a great month. It's going to be a really good month. But at the same time, it's going to be very conservative this month, because at the end of the day, I just want to make sure that I'm going to be more conservative this month. What's up, KK?
Okay, so like you said, a solution, because I still say that I feel it's not fair to people who do follow directions and people who are able to interpret the information that you've provided. So, we've consistently talked about knowledge checks when people come into the community first, to even make sure that they're following the process that you're giving, along with our tiers, and making sure that certain trades just don't get called out to certain people. And it isn't an affront to anyone. It's more about making sure that you do have different levels in here, and it's always going to be different levels in here. So there are people who understand and are able to interpret, and there are people who aren't, and as they grow, then they'll be able to get to that point. But until then, it's not fair to the people who do follow. There are people who just come into the community and are following your process. So I don't want to say that it's just because you've been trading for a long time. It's more about being responsible, and taking responsibility for the information that you've been given, along with being accountable for what is being taught. So I just feel that, some people just don't want to take that accountability, and that's fine. And then they shouldn't have access to certain trades.
Okay, I
And I'm
hear
going to
that.
stand on that.
Yeah, I got you. I got you on that. I hear you on that. Yeah, but it's like, but like I said, in situations where let's just say it's a normal trade and then that just goes left, you know what I'm saying? it's still in that regard, it still comes back to being a person that can follow the process. Because again, like I told y'all, a lot of people come in this community and fake it till they make it. And not to toot my own horn or our own horn or whatever. Most of the time they can do that because we buy at support, and we buying at key levels, and the trades are taking off from there, and they continue to run. Like I see, you see the average profit on monthly profit on our trades are over 190%, 90 something percent, right? So that's what the trades are averaging per month. Like that's just a real calculation. You can go do the math yourself, right? And so people they'll jump in, they miss the alert, or they were scared to get in, and then they jump in later, and and sometimes they get clapped doing that. But for the most part, they don't have to worry about the ramifications or anything like that, because they're protected, because the trades just keep going, or they doing what they're supposed to do. So we don't know who's following the process until every now and then when a trade don't work out, then people are clapped, and they're like, and like you should see some of the emails that I get. I'm like, hold on, I didn't even know you were trading. I didn't even know that you take my trades, so I haven't, but I ain't gonna be that naive, be like people aren't taking the trades. But I'm saying, like, in terms of them speaking up and talking and stuff like that. But no, I'm just want the new people who are in this community that who are just signing up, your best bet is this, because we have expectations of you too. It's like you just started a new job, and you got orientation. And orientation, we say you put your time sheet in here. If you don't put your time in right here, you're not going to get paid on Friday. When you put your PTO right here, and this is the time you take lunch, and then a week go by and you don't get paid, and you crying to HR, you going on social media like, this company is unprofessional, they don't pay their people, everybody got paid but me. But you skipped orientation, so you didn't know where to put your time in at, so you didn't get paid. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the same process here. Like, so we got the onboarding materials for a reason. I'm like, I'm one person, and I am, I'm sharing what I know with y'all. I'm sharing how I make my money every day, how I'm able to live the life that I live, and buy my time back with y'all. That's the whole purpose of this. Not for me to be a trade robot. I'm not a trading robot. You know what I'm saying? I'm somebody who makes money in the stock market, and I bought my time back. So I'm able to do whatever I want to do whenever I want to do it, right? But I trade too. I love to trade. So the whole point is, if you trying to just some people may not be trying to fire their job. Some people just want to make some extra money, and they see how much we already cleared entry levels nurse's salary, a warehouse worker's salary, a construction worker's salary already in the first half of the year. You know what I'm saying? We've already done that with just one contract and trading less than 10 hours a week. You get what I'm saying? So you got your time to do whatever you want to do, but some people got gambling problems and they can't shake that. So they in everything. They're in trades that other people are talking about. Like, it's other people in here talk about stocks, and everybody jumping in those plays and stuff like that. They're not just following the things that I put out there. So, but so I'm just giving y'all the overview of this. So if you're here and you're really here to make this money, you can't just live for the moments where I'm on stream or something like that. You can't just live for when there's a call out. You have to follow this process. Like, on days where there isn't a call out, go back and watch the video in the start here, just so you can make sure that you grasp everything. Because remember, like, I read a lot of books. But every time I reread the book, I learn something different, because you can't process everything at one time. You can't do that. So why do you think you're going to come in here and you say, okay, well, damn, well, I see if the YNs, they in here making all of this money, like, so I know I can do the same thing. You know what I mean? The YNs, they've been studying the how-to guide, or the start here. They be asking me questions when they in these $1,000 contract plays, asking me like, well, boss, is it gonna go here? Or, boss, we already at this level. What do you think gonna happen here? They asking in real time, because they don't care. They're not scared to ask questions. They're not shy about this stuff. That's why they make so much money. So don't come in here like, well, damn, if they can do it, I can do it. No, They put work in. They probably booked coachings. They did a whole lot because they took this seriously. They believed in my process, and they believed in the whole culture and everything about it, and they live in it now. KK the same way. KK didn't know anything about trading when she started this, and I know her personally. She could have called me, but I ain't let her do that. She did it the right way. What's up, KK?
I just wanted to, because I had to go back to Tesla real quick for the strangle situation, and I know it grinds your gears because it really does grind mine when people come back to ask about a strangle two
Mm,
minutes before the market is getting ready to open. And I'm only saying this because I'm, for anybody who's on here who may have questions about it. There is a pinned post about strangles. You put strangle into the search engine and you're going to get thousands of posts with people talking about a strangle. So I want you to do your due diligence, because right before the market open is never the time to ask, like, well, what do you think we're gonna do? Like, so should I cut this side of the trade? Like, we have talked about this, like numerous people in the chat. Like, it's not just Antoine. Numerous people have come in, new people have come in who have actually followed the process and read the information and have come and said what to do in a strangle situation. So if you know that the strangle has, and I hope this stream is recorded, it'll be on the webinars. If you see that the direction has been chosen, the side has been chosen, please cut the other side of the trade. Like, don't sit there and like with like a deer in headlights if there's money to be kept. Because
mm.
Antoine will tell you, if it's $20, like, who cares? But if that's your money too, so you can cut it and take your $20. But like, if you know that the direction has been chosen, cut the other side. Why do y'all come back like and like these questions in real time when other people are like in trades? People might be in multiple trades. Like, it's not the time in at right before the market, and it's not the time when it's all going on and you're like something that's information that's in the chat. I just wanted to say that because it really, like, I every time I see that question before, when we in a strangle, I'm like, are you serious? Like, it's so much information in the group that people really need to take advantage of.
No, but that goes back to what I just said too, though, because in the start here, which is the onboarding materials, your orientation, I specifically talk about that. I talk about the pin post in each channel and that one specifically, So I cover all of this. So it's unfair and it's frustrating too when we go through this over and over again, but then everybody want to come and say, well, he didn't do this and he didn't do that and he didn't do this. Just take accountability and be an adult. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can be scared and you can be shy. That's fine. But like I said, I'm gonna eat that whole trade because that's it. If I gotta eat, I was telling my barber on Thursday, on Wednesday, Thursday, whenever. I'm like, if I gotta eat that whole trade, I'm making some changes around here. And so that's what we're gonna do. And it's like, it's not gonna be anything bad, but at the same time, it's like I'm gonna call out. I'm gonna do my job. We're gonna make a whole lot of money, but it's like certain chances I can't take with the team because they're not ready. They're not really. I gotta assume that nobody read the onboarding materials and that they aren't following it. And then even if not, because it's like, I just don't. I hate quitters. I hate people who take a loss and then write a horrible review and be like, well, they did this and they did this. I'm cool with all it with everything. Take full responsibility. We like to talk about our losses. Most of this call is about that, right? And we got some great trades to get to. I'm gonna get to them, but this is important. This is important because you have to think there are going to be situations where it's just like, okay, cool. It just did not do what we thought it was going to do. You have to get out. You have to, don't be holding and hoping. You have to just cut it and move on. Now, with the Meta put situation on Thursday, I still think Meta has a long way down to go. When you look at the weekly chart, I still think Meta has a way that we making higher highs, but now it's time to make that round trip really quickly to go lower right now. That's just what I think. Meta is going lower. We may get a few bounces or whatever, but it's headed lower. That's where Meta is going. So that was my thought process behind the trade. I should not be in a situation where I'm so concerned about, you know, my traders following what I say, that I'm just like, let's just go ahead and do this just to be on the safe side, because I don't want to hear nobody's mouth if things don't play out the way they're supposed to play out. That shouldn't be my thought process when I know I got a whole structure in place, designed for stuff like this. Everybody freaking out when something goes wrong, when it's like, just because y'all so used to things going right, but we have a plan for when things go wrong. So you not getting killed out here. And that's the whole point. If you follow the process, and shout out to my snipers in the community who speak up. Like, a few people said something on Thursday, like when somebody was crying about Meta, and one of my traders said something like, you know well, if you follow in the process, if you follow in the process, then do this. Or if you follow in the process, you wouldn't have to worry about this. It's a lot of those things. It's a lot of those things that you really have to just consider. That's all. And because when they're in place not to hurt you, they're in place to protect you. So you may not need it all the time. People hate to put that life raft on, that life vest, because they make them look like, a pussy who can't swim or whatever. But then when that boat tip over, then and every man for themselves, they're like, well, why didn't they go save that girl? Why didn't they do this? Everybody was trying to save themselves. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's just situations like that. You have to there are processes in place for a reason. So for you to follow, and I'm a humble trader. That's why when my team be like, oh, he don't miss, I'm like, oh, we miss sometimes. We miss sometimes. I trade conservatively. I like to make money and keep making money, but I'm not going to over leverage just so I can try to rush the process. I'm doing pretty well, and it started out the same way that everything I'm teaching y'all is the way I did everything. Every loss or every situation that y'all will encounter, I've already been through it, and that's why I'm just trying to prevent y'all from taking those same situations. Like I said, we still up substantially on the year. Like I said, we on a course of clear over $80,000 for this year, following the same process and doing it slowly. But at the end of the day, how much money do you make in an hour at your job? So if you make a easy $150 in 15 minutes, take your money. If you're a new trader, you can't trade, and you're too afraid to ask questions in real time, and you didn't follow the onboarding materials, take that profit at 30% like you're told to do. Because once I see my trade go to 30%, I know that I done my job, because I told my new traders, and in my onboarding materials, they say take your profit. So if I was like I said, just consider this, just consider it all, and just follow what's going on, and let's get this money together. I'll say every single chart that that I posted, that I gave, every chart, when we get to the chart alerts, and the charts setups in a minute, I want y'all to just realize that almost every single chart that I provided last week, they hit. Every last one of them. Now, I only took a few of those trades because I can't watch everything. But if you're looking for other things to trade, don't chase the random stock that some random person in a group posted and jump into that trade and blow your account, and then blame the community for it. You should be following the trades and the charts that your coach gave you. The full-time trader, the one who does this for a living. That's all I do, is live and breathe charts all day long, for the most part. You know what I'm saying? So this is what I do. So you should be following me, not the person who only look at charts when the market is open, but they can't really fully focus on them because they got a full-time job that they use to make their money, that has nothing to do with trading. That's not the person you should be following. So yeah, let's just move on from there. I mean, does anybody have any updates or any comments or thoughts on from this past week at all? So everybody had a great week. Everybody did well.
Yeah,
Like,
everything was good, man.
That was pretty cool. That was all
I
right.
mean, I want y'all to be realistic. Like, so
uh,
nobody got into the meta and cut the trade, or you didn't feel like it's okay to talk about that. I got in meta. I had to cut the trade. I did cut it a little later so that I did make back more of my money. But But once again, I didn't take the trade. When we take these trades, we're taking these trades, not trading more than the money that we should be trading. If you're
Mhm.
following the process, let's just be upfront about things, because I hate that he gotta do that and be like, oh yeah, so everybody had a great week and everybody like, yeah, it's cool. Then everybody are deer in headlights during the week, and then we don't see contracts, or we don't see people conversing in a group. Like, I don't like that. Like, let's keep it real today. And I know with some people in here who got some things to say.
I cut it at 50% loss. But then Antoine, we talked about that 10 a.m. box and it dipped down low and ended up just in the bottom of the box, made a little bit back.
Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Tesla card was my best trade of the week. I had cut Meta for a small loss, but the Tesla card was good for me. I ain't swinging. I got in the morning.
No, that was good. That was good because that was a good trade. Because the initial reason behind that initial trade was to get in, make some money, and when it before it come down, grab the puts. So that was a
Hmm.
good one. But yeah, I know a lot of people just like I said, in these crazy situations, these crazy times, if you don't have your life raft on, your life vest on, you're gonna get wiped out. And you may not survive it. So that's why you got to follow the process. So it's all fun and games until there's an actual storm, right? So
Hmm.
yeah.
And then Thursday, I ain't swing Data Dog or AVGO. That's just something with myself. I wanted to wait it out just because I gotta learn to be more disciplined with myself.
Okay. Yeah. That's cool. That's cool. It's cool. Yeah. I would just like to see a lot of my veteran traders take more of the follow the process during the whole week and just try to stick with the trades that, get called out, and
Yeah.
I want to see that. I want to see a full week of that. I want to see y'all putting some more of those contracts up too, than just some of the new people that's coming in here, you know, uh, crushing it. I want to see that from y'all too.
And
But
a good solution to what you was talking about earlier about I do agree with KK that we gotta be more accountable on our end. And just to show our process, posting them wins. Like you said, that prove your worth around here. So that's a good idea.
so yeah, but nah, like I said, just start taking those trades for real. Like, I know a lot of times, and yeah, just take the trades. And at the end of the day, like I said, when the month at the end of the month, like damn, we made a lot of money. But people get caught up in the little stuff. But yeah, we don't have a lot of data this week. We got a few Fed speakers. We got Musalam Thursday at 9 a.m. Waller, they sending him out there. Thursday at 1:15 p.m. Waller is somebody who can move the market. So pay attention to when Waller comes out there. And they're sending Daly out there Thursday at 2:30 p.m. and she moves the market too. She's very outspoken, Fed, so pay attention to whatever she has to say, or just watch when she comes out there because she moves the market a lot too. So with her controversial statements. We got the NFIB Small Business Index Tuesday, Consumer Credit Tuesday, wholesale inventories Wednesday. We got the Fed, the FOMC minutes from the last FOMC meeting on Wednesday at 2 p.m. Jobless claims Thursday, and then we got the federal budget balance. That big beautiful bill got passed, and so we're gonna see how how the market reacts to that. What I saw that on the futures were down. Futures were down on Friday. Futures were down a lot on Friday. Futures were still open. I saw the futures coming down since 1 a.m. on Friday morning. So but Friday, Saturday, Sunday, long weekend. So we'll see how much of that got absorbed by tonight. We'll see what happens when the Asian futures market open and see how that looks. Let me go back into these chart setups. I got a few good ones. We kind of talked about them a little bit on Thursday, but we start with Apple. This was Apple on the The daily. This was the daily chart on Apple. Apple reclaimed its 200-day EMA for the first time since March. So March 10th was the last close that Apple had above its 200-day EMA. So once it lost it on the 11th of March, it's been going back up again, rejected, rejected, rejected. Then it just died and consolidated down here under the 50 for a while, reclaimed the 50 and started moving back up. This was after that news that came out with about Siri and AI. So and we finally got a this was the first time we closed over the 200 EMA for a minute. So it looked like Apple is headed towards this gap fill up here. But they're obviously more they're
I don't
one.
see the chart, Antoine. I just see a chart setups page.
Oh, thank you, KK. Thank you for saying that. All right. So that's how you be knowing who be watching and who just be listening or just got it on in the background doing other stuff. So good looking. So yeah, this is the Apple daily chart. But yeah, I heard what I said. First close over this level here, over this EMA, sorry. And so let's see what happens if we can get a move now. This is it's good for Apple because again, it's been consolidating for a while and it's finally broken out. When Apple breaks out, it moves and look like it wants this gap fill. But we got one traffic light at a time. We got a few levels ahead of that. So I'll say for Apple over that 214.65. I'm looking for a move back up to 217.18, 219.80, and then back over the 200 moving average up there at 222.67. Now, if we lose this 211.81, look for I would say if we lose that 211.81, look for a move back down at a 211.36, then down there to 208, then 206.39, and 205.32. Here's the weekly chart on Apple right here. So this is a beautiful breakout that we got, and it's about time. It was about time. That consolidation has been in there, has been chopping in there for a while. So that's a beautiful breakout for a continuation. So keep Apple on watch. Delta, Delta, Delta. Nice bullish flag right here on the daily. I'll show it to you better on the weekly though. But this is Delta Airline. And Delta has earnings this week. And again, I don't play Delta earnings. I'm not planning on playing the earnings or anything like that. So please don't take this as a no endorsement for no earnings or anything like that. I'm saying that this could be a good run-up play for earnings because we got a bullish flag right here. And if you look at the weekly chart, nice bullish flag breakout with a candle confirmation on the weekly. So this can be a nice continuation, and earnings could be that catalyst to take us up here to fill this gap here and possibly move even higher. So I like the setup on it. I think it looks good. It just reclaimed its 200-day EMA also. So I'll say over 51.39. Look for a move back up over 51.82, 52.25, and then even higher. We got a lot of few places where this can go. Because if this bullish flag plays out, then this thing gonna make a nice move for Delta Airline. So keep this one on watch. And now if we lose that 50.35, I look for it to fill this gap back down here to 50.13, then down to 49.48, and then possibly lower. But yeah, keep this on watch. Keep this one on watch. It looks good. Great chart. Juice brought this one to our attention on Friday. It still is up here near these all-time highs. I try to stay away from stocks at all-time highs, but I mean, it looks great. It looks great. It was in consolidation. It broke out and it looked like it wants to retest those highs right here. So I would say for for Broadcom, AVGO over 275.80, look for a move back to 277.71 and back up, then up to 280 and then possibly even higher. 280 285. If we lose that 270.12, look for a retest of 267, and then possibly back down to 264. So yeah, keep this one on watch. Here's a weekly on it, just so y'all can see how we finish with a hammer here on the week, right here. After retesting that area, came back down there, finished with a hammer. Looks nice. We go to DDOG. Very interesting chart right here for Datadog. So Datadog was getting added to the S&P 500 this upcoming week. And so when that news came out, the stock gapped up, and then we got a nice continuation, came up here to this level, and it closed over this one level here. I'm gonna show y'all the weekly chart first so you can see a lot clearer. This is the weekly chart for Datadog. Nice close, very solid close here. So what I'm looking at it like this. Over that 156.53, I'm looking for a move up to 160, and then possibly up there to after 160, 165, and then possibly back to 170. Now, if we lose this, what is that, 146.91, we probably go back down there and fill this first gap down here, down at one. Hold on, let me just mark it up first. Let me just mark it up, because we got area here. So we probably come back down here and retest this 136.30. If we lose that 146.91, that'll be a nice place for a continuation after a retest of that area if that happens. So I would keep this one on watch because it could just with that news, and it's not supposed to be added until Wednesday, so it may continue to run because of the momentum. It may continue to push up into that move. So keep Datadog on watch. One sec. One sec. Yeah. Uber. Here's this Uber chart. So you see this stock is another one pushing up at all-time highs, and look like it's about to finish at ready to take all-time highs again. It finished inside on a week after a bullish flag breakout, so it's just been moving higher. It looks great. The chart looks great here. So what I'm looking at here on the daily, you see if we got an inside. One thing I like, an inside day and an inside week. So this hold on, let me. No, there's not an inside day. This isn't an inside day, but it's an inside week though. So it finished inside on the week, but not on the day. Just got out there on the day. But yeah. So what I say for this one though, still over 94.11. Look for a move back up. Look for a move up to, I'm gonna say over 94.38. Over 94.38. Look for a move to 95, 96, 97, and possibly up to 100, right? That's where I'm looking for this to possibly go if we get that breakout. But if it loses that 92.61, it'll probably retest that 91.24, and then make a move possibly back down even lower if it doesn't get stopped at the 200. I mean, at the 90 EMA. You see, it's been bouncing off the 90 EMA as it come there. So, but if it doesn't get saved by that 90 EMA, it'll probably come back down and retest that 90.60, and it could possibly go lower if it loses that level, because we got a few levels that it could actually break down to if that does happen. But yeah, it looked like it wants to go higher, so I just keep Uber on watch. It's been quietly making higher highs, well, not higher highs, but it's been trending back up. It just took out the all-time high, so yeah, keep this on watch. And again, look at the weekly again. So it was very restrained this week. So that it moved the low on it was 90.31, and the high was 94. So like real it was tight on this range, and it finished inside after a big week the week before. So just look for this to possibly make a move or get rejected and come down, because you see this is a resistance area. If you look at the weekly, it's gonna come up to this area right here, and it's got rejected. So just keep it on watch. It look like it wants to break out, but it can come down and make a nice move down. It can be a double top area. It can be all of that. So just keep an eye on it here. Uber. GE is another one here that's been quietly making these huge moves. Inside week on it. And is this an inside day? Looks like it is an inside day. Yep. So we got an inside day and an inside week. After rejecting this 9 EMA on GE. I like the setup on this chart too. It's another one that looks good. You see it may be coming down though because of this look at the double top, but that inside week and inside day, inside those inside candles are neutralizing candles. So they reset the move. So it can go any way from there. So we'll see what actually happens. I mean, I think it looks, I like where it is and where it could possibly go either way on this one. I'll say under 220, under 245. Look for a retest of 240.89 and then possibly even lower. We got a few levels that it can actually hit to the downside. So a few gap fills down there too. Now for the upside, if we were to clear 248.70, look for a retest of 249.50, then possibly back up there to 256.45. But yeah, keep G on watch. Goldman Sachs did it again. So we took out the all-time high again. We've been tracking this stock for the last few weeks. And this was last Friday when I covered it. It took out the trigger for calls and it hit every single level that I had in place for it. So we went through every single one of these levels. It hit every last one and took it out and still going higher for all-time highs. So yeah, so this is another one just to keep on watch here. Goldman Sachs. So over 726, look for a move to 730, 735, possibly 740. Now, if we lose 713.40, look for a retest of 710.30 to possibly 705.45. And 700 should be where it gets stopped at. But if not, it'll probably come down and retest that 9 EMA. And yeah, so we'll see what happens with that one. But all-time highs again on Goldman Sachs. All-time highs again on Goldman Sachs. Meta. I know we talked about Meta, but we didn't talk about Meta. Yeah, man. So Meta, interesting chart right here. Start with the weekly so y'all can see what's really going on. Like I told y'all, still making higher highs, but it looked like it's time for, let me get this out of here. Time for Meta to cool off. Meta need to cool off. It's been eating long enough. So now it's time to cool off a little bit. And so yeah, like I said, we got that this was a 222 reversal, but you see it came up here to this level and got rejected. Let me get this off of here too. This is in a way, or the color anyway. With that, like that. Yeah, it was just in a way. But yeah, so Meta down here. I just don't like I don't like all the weakness on it for the most part. So we lost this level. We came back up, reclaimed it, but we went up and rejected this. The area of least resistance right now is down, is the downside. So under 714.42, look for a retest of 711.64, 708.85, and even lower, possibly down to, 706, 78. Depending on what happens, we probably can go all the way back down to like 703, 700 for the most part. But everything be news driven around here with these headlines causing stocks to move and pull down. But Meta just looked weak overall. So that's what we got for it. Now, if we clear this 729.03 on Meta, I'm gonna say if we clear 730.29, let's say 730.29, over 730.29, look for a retest of 735.88, 741.26, and so on Meta. Still gotta, keep it on watch because they're just because the overall direction right now is still up. The stock doesn't just move in a straight line. It makes pulses and waves. So in waves and pulses, they move like this. So you gotta just pay attention to that and look at things like within the range and the time frame that you're trading in to kind of get what's going on. Hit Tesla, man, really quickly. Tesla. So this is how Tesla finished on Friday. This is how Tesla finished on Friday. I'm on Thursday. Sorry about that. This is the weekly finished with a hammer. I thought that was a pretty good move back up from Tesla after everything that happened. Like I said, the delivery numbers that the it wasn't as bad as they thought it would be. And Tesla reclaimed its 200-day moving average. It finished just under the 50, but it reclaimed the 200 moving average, and it's just sitting right here with what is that? That's a 2-2 continuation right there. But like with two candles over the 200 moving average, I think that's cool for Tesla. So what we look for now for this one over 318.45. Look for a retest of, yeah, 325.15. That's what I'll be looking for Tesla on that. And then obviously we got other levels there that we could possibly hit. I'm just gonna put another level in there though, just because I need to throw something else in there. So over 325.15, 330.64. Now if we lose that excuse me, if we lose 315, 315.35, then for Tesla, we can make a nice move down because this is a real ugly situation to the downside because it'll be like we rejected the 50 again. This is a nice low level that it's been having a lot of um action at. Hold on one second, I hear somebody line. It's got a lot going on there. But yeah, so like I said, it's been a lot of price action at this area right here for Tesla. So if it comes down, if it lose that 312.76, that's what I meant, 312.76, look for a retest of 302.16 and then possibly another retest of the 200-day EMA at 300. They're going to fight for 300. They've been fighting for 300. So if it comes back down, but for the most part, just thinking about how Tesla's been moving, just look at the price action. Tesla can come down because it's Elon is doing his political thing again. You know what I'm saying? So Elon, he stays in the news. I mean, it's a lot going on right now. So y'all already know everything that's going on. Elon is just in the news heavy. So we got to keep that in mind too. It's gonna so Tesla may break down and go lower. Look at this weekly chart on Tesla right here, like I just showed y'all. So it's a lot of price action at this area right here. And so although we got this bounce, Elon is back in the news talking a lot of stuff, political stuff. So get ready for the people to sell Tesla. You know how that goes whenever he's out there in the news. Now, you got Prime Day this week or whatever. And you know how Amazon like to move for Prime Day. So that's why I'm covering that one because of that. And you see, we already got a nice move on the stock here for Amazon. Let me start with this weekly so y'all can really see what's going on. I don't trade Amazon too often because it moves too slow, but it's cool. It's cool. It's a safe trade that um it's a safe trade that it's not something where you get clapped up too easily, and because it moves so slow, when the structure breaks down, you'll know about it. And it's not hard to trade. So yeah, so over over 224.01, look for a move back up to 226.62 and then possibly higher. If we lose that 221.36, look for a retest of 218.61 and 217.23. But I like the setup on this so far. But sometimes these be sell the news events with these stocks. I mean, with these types of setups. So just want to just make sure everybody's on with that. I don't like QQQ up here at these all-time highs, but it's big. It's a big possibility that could go higher if tech and everything continues higher. Um, but we will have to wait and see what happens with that. So I would just say keep QQQ on watch because over 557.20, look for a move to to 560. If we lose that 553.18, look for a retest. What I say, yeah, if we lose 553.18, look for a retest of 550 and then 546.34. So just keep these on watch, man. That's all I have for now, team. And I'll see y'all in the chat. Let me know if y'all have any questions. Cheers.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.